Hello, I'm Frank Shines, and I'm with the Stroud Leadership Summit for 2024. This event it was originally going to be taking place in Colorado Springs, where my family grew up and where there is the Sable Mesa Resort, where we were going to have a graduation ceremony for the Colorado College Stroud Scholars, uh, Dakota Promise, UCCS, a number of different college prep programs in the Colorado Springs area. But because of unfortunate conflicts associated with the high school prom, the senior prom, we've made some changes virtually, and we'll be honoring the young adults and adults physically on site at a different time. Again, working with Colorado College. So, first of all, wanted to make the point that for the graduates, congratulations. We look forward to working with you and the next classes that are coming up through the program. You guys have all put in a lot of work, a lot of effort. We understand the faculty, the staff of the representative schools, as well as the parents, have played a pivotal role. So a great round of applause for all of them and all the hard work. So let's go and get started. Today, I'm joined by Umer Qureshi from Pakistan. And Umer and I, we worked together for nearly a decade on a number of different technology projects from small mom and pop shops, tech startups, mid-market, as well as major corporations. Today, we're going to talk with Umer about some of his experiences with regards to technology, and particularly more specifically and directly artificial intelligence recently. So with that in mind, Umer, please take a moment, introduce yourself. How did you arrive at this point? And where exactly are we reaching you today in Pakistan?
Yep. I'm from Rawalpindi, Pakistan, but now at this moment I'm traveling for my brother's wedding and I'm in my native village that's in the northern areas of Pakistan. So just enjoying the weather out there and the atmosphere. So talking about my journey as a tech and business consultant, this hasn't been without the challenges, specifically when you're from, an underdeveloped country like Pakistan, where you face frequent internet issues, electricity outages, and, the absence of payment gateways, especially PayPal. We don't have PayPal. We are the
Oh,
fifth country in terms of the population, but yet we don't have payment gateways like PayPal. So it's a struggle. But despite these uh, obstacles, I have been able to, leverage from the generative AI and Lean Six Sigma to help businesses across 15 countries nearly. Yep. So I've been mentored by leaders specifically from IBM and Ernst & Young, and I have been using the AI technologies to optimize and innovate the digital strategies. So, if you're talking about my struggle, it started back in 2010 when I was in my college, and from there on, I started, getting myself familiar with the internet. And then in 2015, I graduated as a mechanical engineer, but I had more expertise as a web developer and SEO expert, and a graphic designer with the basic graphic designing skills. So my skill
how did that
has
happen? How did you do that? So you're studying you're studying mechanical engineering at the university. So how did you get these other skills? Because I think a lot of the young adults and even people who are looking to make a transition in life would be interested in how you were able to do both.
so like I would mention again, in an underdeveloped country, money is the biggest motivation for you. So back in 2010, when I was just from the college, I still remember I finished my first project while I was doing an internship in a software house, and it was just for $5 back in then. But I provided 17 revisions for one logo design job.
Oh, wow.
And my boss was saying, and my boss was telling me, hey, just take $5 from me and please close this project because we are not running a charity here. You have opened an NGO here. So he was laughing. But guess what? After that $5 project, I got another project from the same client worth 55 US dollars. I still remember that because those were my first few projects. And I just finished it in less than an hour. And I said, okay, now if you take an average, I made, $60 over the 3 days. And that's a hell lot of money back then for just a student who just graduated from his college. So
Nice.
that just sparked me because I saw the potential. If I could learn these skills, I can make good amount of money. And I still remember my father retired in 2015 and he didn't even own a motorcycle. So the
Wow.
only motorcycle we had was from my elder brother who was working in the bank and he leased that off.
Mm.
So, but by the mid of my university, I was going on my university on a car.
Wow.
So that
So
you can see that's
why you mentioned not even a motorcycle? Do a lot of folks in Pakistan, do many drive motorcycles or scooters, things like that, in lieu of cars?
yes, yes. Yes, we have lots of motorcycles over here in Pakistan. Back in the days, we had lots of bicycles, but now even I I would able if I would have been able to show you a picture, or I will attach to this for the folks, there are lots of motorcycles over here. So you'll see that everyone has a motorcycle. I still own one.
Wow.
So because of the traffic and the congested roads in the cities, so you can maneuver very easily on a motorcycle. So
Makes sense.
that's
Yeah.
why we refer. So our first achievement as a boy or as a male is to get your own motorcycle, get your own first ride.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we
No,
refer that as two-wheelers, the first ride. So I was mentioning you that, by 2015, in the very end semesters of my university, I was going on car in my university. And when I graduated, I did apply for mechanical engineering related jobs, but I didn't get much response. And the response I got was roughly around 200 US dollars jobs that I was making overnight or over in 2 to 3 days.
Mm. Wow, that's something. I think we lost your sound for a moment there, so we'll give you just a moment. Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Um, so so you're talking about, yeah, exactly how you're now making a lot more money. What's interesting about like mechanical engineering, I originally was studying electrical engineering and then later industrial engineering, ultimately focused on business and marketing statistics in my graduate studies. But, I was listening to Peter Thiel, I guess it was like an interview that took place about 3 or 4 months ago. And he said he had been doing research on all the engineering jobs versus software engineering and tech over multiple decades, like going back the last, say, 30, 40 years. And he said he had noticed that the number of traditional engineering jobs has been pretty much flat or stagnant. In many cases, it's dropped off, but the growth has been in the tech related software engineering and so forth. In fact, I even know electrical engineering, where when I was starting, computer science was there, in colleges, but it wasn't nearly as advanced as it is now. And almost no one talks about doing double E anymore. Back then, everybody was talking about double E, electrical engineering, but it's all gone to software, as well for double E. So was it the case that for you guys as well, there's more opportunity with technology, that type of thing, versus traditional engineering?
No, we are still, that's a pretty long debate because our education system, it just sucks because it's a pretty old system. So like if you when I was in ninth class, I still have those debates with the young folks over here in Pakistan with my cousins that in the ninth and 10th class you are just learning, they're just giving you an overview of steam engine, what a floppy disk is. I mean, are you
Yeah.
kidding with me? the student that you're teaching what a floppy drive is in this notebooks and you're giving it into the paper has its own mobile with cloud storage on it. So
Mhm.
the education system here is pretty outdated. They just need to, revive it. So when I graduated, and since I was still doing the freelancing from 2010 and onwards, I was able to get lots of exposure. And if I didn't understand anything in even in my university, I would leverage YouTube and other platforms to just learn and watch the lectures from professors over there in Massachusetts or different universities.
Right.
That has really helped me
Okay.
understand those concepts.
So that accelerated it was really more like self-learning. And so what were the things you
Yeah.
learned and how did you cut? Because, when I met you, we were working with some family businesses. We were looking at some online marketing and search engine optimization work. And, we just had a really great relationship. Have continued that for the last 10, nearly 10 years. So, yeah. So how did you make the transition from those early days, learning things online, getting to the point where you're working with across 15 countries today doing technology, and what's kind of like a day in the life of Umer with this technology and projects?
Yep, we have worked together, in many projects. And first of all, I'm thankful to you for just mentoring me, and obviously with your experience from IBM, Ernst and Young, I have, mastered the use of advanced technologies from you to, optimize the digital strategies and all that. So I have worked across different projects. I still realize back in 2015 when you would just, when I learned the SEO, it was super easy when you would just go in there, put, stuff the keywords in there and your website will rank. So I have witnessed this whole transition of, the old traditional websites
Mm.
from the traditional way to this advanced AI technology. So as a freelancer, I would simply say I have no schedule, because if you have multiple projects going on, I just love my work. I would even sacrifice my sleep for my work, because if you have multiple projects and you're managing a different client's website, sometimes
Different fees, different time
client
zone.
A has an issue, client B, client C, yeah, they are on different time zones. I have local clients, I have clients over in the Middle East and Australia and in the USA. So all are on different time zones, and there is an urgent project. And I still remember we did one project with Walbro, providing them business and technology consultation, and they had different plants, in Mexico, in USA, Japan, China, Thailand. So we had to, I was their point of contact, and I had to coordinate with all these different managers. So plant managers, and it was just hard for me to just manage those routines, because one meeting was scheduled at 4 a.m., the other one was 2 p.m. in the mid of the day, and then 24 hours, just different meetings. But I would say I have learned a lot. So I would just say I've crushed myself during those years by working hard, but it has definitely paid off.
So when you look at some of the companies, I won't name specific names, but one is a major GPS company. Another is a major, I guess you would call it a trophy award type company, family owned, United States for multiple generations. What is a kind of a typical day or week of what you're working on for customers? Say, let's say before GPT-4 versus today.
Oh, before GPT-4, you would just say I would rate myself as a normal digital marketer, SEO expert, and a web developer. That's it. Because I had to just, do the research and send it out to different content writers. Sometimes they're busy. I had to wait for them. It takes months for them to write me some content. And then I would go in there and just edit, just publish those content. So I was basically dependent on lots of these
So you're
You could
working
say factors because
website, WordPress platforms, and things like that. But you're now waiting. You
yes,
have this, and you figured out all the data about the keywords and the strategy, but then you've got to wait for the content for them to get it to you before you
yes,
can.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was like literally jumping. Please provide me content. Please provide me content. I wish I would have something like that, and I would have put the content because I knew the value of the time. Because I could do a really good research, I could do the competitor analysis, and I know what I need to put in there to rank the content. But I would have to just wait for months before I could even get one article or two articles because it was just so hectic process. And the main struggle was finding the right content writer because the professional content writers aren't affordable for SMBs, especially. Or if you can afford, you can hardly afford them for one or two page, but you can't afford them as an ongoing content writers. So you had to just do a search and find affordable content writers from Pakistan and from Asia, and sometimes from different parts of the world. And then the writing style doesn't look it's written by a Native American, especially you have mentioned the GPS related company and the top uh, awards related company in the USA. So it was harder for me to, just do that. And most of the times clients have to just, you know, uh, review it and fix the changes to make it sound more like American. And I still remember I've given you lots of content to just, I would just email you and then request you to just please make it sound like American. So I still recall those days, but so that was, just the era before the GPT. But the day GPT launched, and while I was using that, I realized so it just made
Okay.
me
So before you go
simply a
into that,
one-man army.
before you go to that part, Umer. So the thing you're doing, right? Because what customers pay you for is essentially to get their phone ringing, to get leads on
Yes.
their site, and to make money, right? To grow their revenue. And so I've seen the numbers, right? I've seen the data you showed me where these companies were really low, and then all of a sudden they just way up, right? Up and to the right.
Yeah.
So I get it. I mean, and I just seen that happen over and over again. And you've helped us with several different businesses that we grew, right? I mean, literally their phone would be ringing at night time, right? And everything from calls around the world. That's how good it was, right? Um, and so that's the kind of the problem that you typically are solving for people, for customers. So then, yeah, what happened with GPT-4?
So obviously, the clients would call me. They say, our phone is right, but it never rings. So just do whatever you do. They don't care.
Hmm. Right. And sounds like we may have lost your audio connection for a split second there. I know sometimes we have this brief technical issue. So just make sure once you are able to, I'll just remind you there. So you're coming back. Okay.
Oh, I
Continue.
apologize for the issue. All right. So I was saying they don't care. The clients don't care about the SEO. They don't understand it. All they want is their phone to be ringing.
And search
So
optimization for those who may
I
not.
was I was able to I was able to generate some leads, but like I said, I was dependent on a lot of factors. First, there were lots of steps in the process before I could just publish the content. I had to do the research, provide it to the content writer, get the wait for the content writer. So it was just time consuming, and I couldn't get the results that I wanted. So with the launch of GPT and the moment I realized its potential, I mean, I said, I'm just a one man army and I know everything now. And the moment I learned the prompts, you know, I figured out that I can use it in my daily life. So before just jumping into the SEO part, I would just say, last time when I took my mother to a liver specialist, I literally knew more than him. I
Mhm.
was even telling him that this is the disease, this is like and he was just, stunned and listening to me. And, I had to stop because I realized I'm not a doctor, he's the doctor,
Right.
but
Mhm.
I'm giving more tips to him than he's recommending to my mother. That I was telling him, you should tell her to do this, you tell her to do this. And I realized, that as a leveraging GPT-4, you can use it in your daily life. So when GPT launched and I started learning the prompt engineering, I realized I'm a one-man army, and I became the content writer, I became the web developer, I became the, basically, I would say, master of all. I wouldn't use the word jack of all, but I became the master of all by, by leveraging this. So the content that would take me 1 month, I would have write more than that content in 1 day. And when I give it to the clients, they would just say, "Hey, it's approved. It looks like, written by a native person." So that really speed me up. It's like, I wouldn't have done, that much of work back in combined in 2022, 23 that I have done, in the past 4 or 5 months. So that's how speedy I am now with this chat GPT, and still learning, and using the generative AI. I wouldn't say just to chat GPT, since it's it's the pioneer. So that's why that's the name on my mouth, but I'm leveraging, the Gemini, the chat GPT, the Perplexity, the Pi, and there are lots of other Gen AI tools that you can leverage to get the desired results. So it's not just the one tool; you have to combine them to get, make your secret sauce.
Right. That's great. So let's answer a few questions that we expect many of the college students, high school entering the college might have. When we looked at, in fact, we use a combination of all of those to come up with kind of some of the top 3 or 4 different types of questions. So obviously, the big question on everyone's mind is, okay, how will AI take my job, or how can I use AI to get a job or do the things that you just described with your career? How can kids, how can students, how can recent college graduates and college students take advantage of AI, and where should they be fearful about AI taking their job?
Okay, so the first thing that I would say is everybody fear AI, and I still remember when the ChatGPT was launched, there was a famous saying across internet that AI will take your job or AI will replace you. And I realized that AI is not going to replace you, but people using AI are going to. It's a definite thing because they have increased their productivity.
Mm.
So at the end of the day, people leveraging AI have improved their productivity no matter whichever field they are in. So it's like a calculator. Back in, the days when the calculator was discovered, everybody was saying, just don't cheat, don't use calculators because, it will make you dumb and you won't do the calculations or you won't be able to live without it. But when the days passed, people started using it because it's a technology, it saves them time. So same thing with the AI. When it came, there were lots of rumors, AI will replace you, AI will replace, the jobs. And just for fun fact, I was looking at LinkedIn, and you will see there are jobs coming up every day. So I remember 2 3 months ago there was no job on LinkedIn. Lately when I checked, there are about 2,000 and more AI related jobs. So AI is basically opening new fields and new areas for us. So now coming towards how students can use the AI, they can definitely use the AI to understand different concepts that they didn't understand. They can use or leverage AI, generative AI, to help them come up with different ideas, examples, help them solve their assignments where they're having issues, help them take their evaluations or quizzes for them before the paper, how they're prepared. So that's how they can use to make the presentations and so on.
So,
And
Yeah. So it
The
sounds
most
like
important.
diving in and starting to use it and learn it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yep. And the big thing is they can make money by learning this skill because it's a skill that's in demand and there is no competition yet. That's the advantage of that. So if they can start learning this skill, it would not only help them with their studies, but it will also help them make some money.
I like that. One of the questions that we often hear from students and recent graduates of college, um, they're curious about, okay, all this stuff about how I can take advantage of AI. Um, is it only for coders? Is it only for highly technical engineering types of people, with STEM backgrounds, science and technology, engineering, math? Or, how about the rest of us? Can we take advantage of this? Do I have to be a coder?
No. And I would just elaborate with an example that a couple of months ago, I needed to put a calculator, PHP-based calculator on one of the blogs. And I asked the developer, and he said it will take 3 days when I gave him the instructions. And he said it will take 3 days. And I said, I need to publish this blog quickly. So I realized let's just play around with generative AI and do that. Now, I don't know, you know, deeper. I don't have the deeper understanding of PHP and JavaScript. I do know HTML, CSS, and the basics of JavaScript and PHP. But since I have mostly developed websites on WordPress, so I know that, and I know only the PHP and JavaScript, just from the basic or normal levels. And I do know the backend, server end and all that stuff. But I don't have the specific coding expertise. So what I did is I gave the ChatGPT a role, basically a prompt, that to act as a PHP and a JavaScript developer and help me write a code for a calculator. And this is the styling, and these are the features that it should do. And it came
What
up with the code. I had to do two, three tweaks.
what kind of calculator? What was the problem you're trying to solve for this customer? I know it's a blog site for a customer, you said?
Oh, it's it was an Australian client who was in the financing business, and they needed a particular type of finance calculator where they provided the formula, and they wanted the calculator to be live on site, and people can come in, input their values. So it basically contained, different factors, their salaries, the loan they're applying for, and all these, and it would just come up with the calculation. And when I
Okay.
did, I showed it to the client, and he said, "Wow, that's great, it's working." And I
Really?
just read out to the developer. I said I did it in few minutes, and he said, "How did you do that?" I said, "I
Wait,
used
so wait,
ChatGPT."
wait, 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 wait. You just went past that really fast. So you're talking about a person that you would have had to pay for to do this. They're saying 3 days, and these are people who are more experts in doing
Yeah,
this, and you're able to do it in less than a day. In how much time?
it basically literally took me 10 minutes because
No.
because of the back and forth prompt, and I was like, wow. And the developer usually that works with me, so I had to explain him that I use ChatGPT to do this, and he was like, he's turned. And few days ago when I was talking to the same developer, he was using ChatGPT to solve the problem. And I said, I know that.
So that's the example where
So
ChatGPT didn't take his job, but you using ChatGPT did take his
yes,
job.
that's a good example. And he became productive, and because few days ago, since I work collaborate with him on different projects, and I asked him, can you check this? And he said, let me use ChatGPT. And I was just laughing, and he just came back quickly to me. So he said ChatGPT has improved my productivity. It saves lots of time. I can do lots of work in one day that I would have to write the code from basics. It just take days.
Right.
So
So some of the things you're saying, get in, use it, try different types of chat or large language models, right? Whether it's Perplexity, Gemini, Claude, Anthropic Claude, or ChatGPT or whatever. Um, and then you also said get in there, use the different models, test it out. And a lot of what you're just describing is prompt engineering, where you give it a role, you tell it how to do things, and then you play around with it, whether it's a coder, you're telling it to do something, or writing content based upon a certain type of style or voice, it sounds like. What else? Any other skills or specific things you would share with college students today?
Yep. So I would like to just explain this a bit, like
Mhm.
this prompt. So nowadays, prompt engineering is a term that's been used around the internet. So I can explain the students what is prompt and how it basically works. So a prompt engineering or a prompt is about precisely telling an AI what to do or what you need exactly, just telling it. It's like, custom tailoring content to fit your specific needs. So I would just give an example to the students to understand. They can go out there on a
Yeah.
shop and buy a ready-made coat.
Tell an example of real life, one of your clients. You don't have to use their name, but maybe something, whether it was have some was it content, a specific type of content you had to write, or a specific other type of problem. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll come to it, but so let me just put it in simple words what a prompt engineering is. So if you go out uh, on a shop to buy a coat for yourself, you can just get one that's hanging in there and buy it. The other one is you go to the tailor and provide it the custom instructions that I want this section to be tight. It should be body fitted, and that's how it's tailored to
Mm.
fit your specific requirements. So that is basically the prompt engineering. And I would like to elaborate an example of the GPS related client that you have already mentioned. So I was working, I would typically go in there and specifically tell the Chat GPT to write a blog around this topic, this words, and it has to be a Native American written and so on. But just it's a big company, and they're working in the B2B market, so I had to be very specific in terms of the writing style and understanding what they're writing about. So first of all, I use the different generative AI tools like combination of Gemini, ChatGPT, Perplexity, and AI. So what would I do? I've done is I would just go into the Gemini. I trust Gemini more when it comes to the actual content because it's Google based and it is trained on the Google's data, so it is more accurate. So I would just go in there. For example, if I have to write I had to write a blog lately on dog tracking. So I literally go into the Gemini. I ask, act as a so now I'm just telling you the exact prompt that I used. So I said, you have collaborated with a team of data scientists
Mm.
and I would say, SEO experts so I would say you have collaborated with SEO experts and data scientists who have analyzed millions of YouTube videos and millions of Google trends.
Mm.
Now, just provide me top 10 problems related to dog tracking or dogs. So
Okay.
it would just come up right away with the problems and the problems that I wouldn't even think of or I wouldn't have gotten it from ChatGPT or other tools. It would just say, I have it would literally say I've watched hundreds of videos where people are complaining my dog has run after the mailman or my dog has run after some sort of sound or it's harder to track dog in when you're traveling or
Mm.
in crowded places, and a lot of issues were related to theft. So those were the ideal problems that I came across with, and they were data based. Then I used the perplexity and I said, okay, what percentage of the dogs are, you know, are lost every year in the USA, and how much are recovered with or without the GPS trackers on them? And I came up with the specific percentage numbers using different sources, and I would leverage that. I would, you know, put in different keywords and write an article around those pain points, addressing those pain points in the tone of B2B customers, and it would just help me, present a really nice article to them. Now, the article is obviously, by the way, dog tracking is B2C, so pardon me. So I would just present them this, I presented them this B2C related articles, and they just literally, their content writer gave me this comment. Basically, I was given this comment from the content writer by their marketing director, and the marketing director told me, "Hey, our content writer was saying that you have, saved him a lot of time, and you have made his job really easy because the pain points are there, the keywords are there, the frequently asked questions are there." The article, a sample written article is already there, and the percentages are already there, so all it has to do is just use it and make it in a flow, or even they can publish the content I provided them, so they would just trim it and use it, because I would just provide them a longer content that so they can trim it and use the wordings that they like. So, and all this information that I'm talking to you about, I've done it in less than an hour.
Wow, that is great. That's an excellent example. Um, so you got this B2C customer that has a device, a GPS tracker type device, but what you're trying to understand are what are all the pain points for owners of pets, of dogs in particular. And so you went to first Gemini because Google's got information more around those types of things. And so you use that first. It tells you a lot about the pain points and so forth from the voice of the customer. You then took that information, added to that research, because Perplexity does a much better job in terms of pulling together research and
Yep.
sources of data. Okay, got it. Then you drafted it from there. And so obviously the client was very happy with the results. So one thing that comes up from questions with students is, okay, I've learned to use these different tools with, say, large language models, but can AI really be creative, right? Can AI really create new things? Could you talk about how you use the banner images? And it looks like we may have just lost Umer for a moment. He may come right back on here in just a second. So worst case, we'll reconnect. It looks like he's coming right back in. So what we'll find out
Yep.
from you, yes. So there you go, perfect. So in other words, many people say that AI just does what other people have already done, because it's just looking at stuff that people have already done, and all it's doing is just rearranging it, but it's not creative. How to use Mid-Journey for banner images and creativity?
So with custom prompts like this that I was mentioning, and an article like this, you're basically addressing the problems that people have. And you would hardly find an article like this on the internet that literally addresses the problems. So I haven't found a single SEO related articles that addresses my issues. So every SEO related article I jump in, they talk about this is SEO, this is, these are the changes and all that. But it was so hard for me to just find an article that addresses a problem for digital marketer that they face in the market. So a content like this will definitely stand out, and Google is smart. When you address these problems, they correlate the nearest neighboring keywords, highest correlating keywords. They understand that if someone is looking for dog tracking, they want to, they want theft. They're coming for theft or anti-theft, or tracking their dogs. It can be related to traveling. It can be related to dance areas. So Google understands all these, and they also understand the urgencies of the people. Sometimes they panic out. My dog is lost. What do I do? So that's why we're putting in the FAQ section. So basically, we're just trying to solve the problems of the customers. So an article like this, it definitely jumps up in Google and stands out. Google rewards you for this thing. Now, coming to the other part. So any article or page without the image is incomplete because it's just hard for you to just sometimes just keep reading without having some visuals. And Midjourney, I mean, it's an amazing tool how they have evolved over the time. I mean, I wouldn't have imagined that would happen in my life where I would just type in a scenario and it would just display that to me. So, you know, in the past, I would just use these royalty images. I would just
Yeah.
go into royalty free images. I would just use that. Or, sometimes I don't even like the image because I've used that on 10 different sites, or I've just seen the same image on different websites and I don't like using it, but I don't have any other option. So I have to just use uh, these images that are out there on the Shutterstock and different websites. But with the AI, you get the advantage to create unique images that relate exactly to what you're trying to convey, and also to grab the user's attention, because if an image is unique, you can grab the user's attention, and if you have grabbed the user's attention, then you can keep them engaged, and they'll spend time, they'll read your article because of a different image.
Right.
So Midjourney is
Give us,
great, and I've been using that.
can you give us an example, like, and maybe you can think of one specifically or just make up one, but okay, you've got some article you're writing, and now you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I give the prompt to Midjourney? Like, what would be the pieces that would be included in a prompt for Midjourney that are different than the prompt you just mentioned earlier when you were, working on whether it was coding or working on content that's text content, and also like the aspect ratio or any other things like the randomness, the special, I think it was called the S factor, and all those types of things that are used with Midjourney. Could you kind of walk us through an example of here a here's a type of image I got to create, or here's a specific problem that I had for the customer, and I had to create the article and come up with an image to go with it. How do you think through that and prompt it?
So the very first thing I have to understand is what the article is about and what is the audience of that article. Because as I have already mentioned that I have worked with clients across 15 different countries, so I would like to just give an example of the finance lender out there in Australia. And now I know that I'm targeting students, mostly looking up for different loans, where I was just mentioning about that calculator earlier.
Okay.
So yeah. So I have to first understand the audience. Who is my audience? What is their age? Where are they coming from? What are they looking for? So if 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 they're a student, then I have to go down at that level and make sure that I'm creating, something that is understandable by students. But if I have to just create an image for people over 60 or 70, I I would just try to make it a bigger so it's easy for them to see and all these. So visually, I have to just keep an eye on that. And when it comes to financing, uh, the images out there on the internet are not that much. So what I have to do is I have to usually come up with prompts. For example, I was writing an article on home financing, and all the articles that were related to all the images I could find on the Shutterstock were just, showing different homes and, the calculator options on top. Journey, I was able to create a home based on the calculator itself. So if I get a chance, I will share that image, but it was really unique. It was just, built out of calculations. So basically, if you do your maths right, you can be able to have your own house. So it was just
So
depicting
you
that.
combine the
Right?
calculator with the home image is kind of fuse the two together. And the message was that if you can do these calculations, you can build and make your house your future type thing.
Yeah. So the house was coming out of,
I'll go ahead and continue. So I think where he's going with it is that he built it in such a way that the house was literally coming out of the calculator. So it was suggesting that through the calculator, by doing your right types of finances and so forth, then that can lead you to the point where you receive or get a home. I just realized my hand was right in the way of the camera. I
yeah.
apologize. Okay, I kind of communicated that to the audience while we lost your connection for just a second, and I know we're right at that towards the end of our time. Um, I think we may have lost. I can see parts. Okay, so final question for you: what parting advice do you have for anyone given this theme we have around um, AI for unity, right? So, how can artificial intelligence help us reduce the polarization around the world, all the um, antagonism, and maybe a lot of it driven by fake news or all of the fear and anxiety and things that people face? What would be your final thoughts to the audience with regards to what we might be able to do to use AI to unify?
So yeah, you're right with, with tools like Sora, you know, where you can just create fake videos of anyone. Uh, it's going to be tough, but if we use these technologies correctly, like AI in education, in learning, in gaming, entertainment, and telling the people, you know, the I would say, the effects, or you can say, the adverse effects of the AI. So if we can educate people on that, how to use the AI correctly, we can help bring the community together. As an example, we can leverage AI in the healthcare that would that can take care of the patients and improve the overall patient experience. So we can also use the AI in sports. We can also use AI to help the disabled people, by leveraging the AI to advance our researches. So, and the most important thing would be, the obviously the social networking and communication. So we can leverage or create AI-driven platforms that will, which can improve or, provide more intuitive and personalized communications. So like this new app I was looking at, it's called Maven, but you can use it to, it can analyze your preferences, suggest you content, the communities or connections that align with exactly with your interests. So it's similarly, it's a similar type of social media based platform or social based platform that suggests you the groups of friends based on your interests. So these things can, help bring the people together.
Yeah, I like that. I think it was an ex-Anthropic, or I think it was an ex-Google person. No, it was an ex-OpenAI, ex-OpenAI, right? That's created
Yeah,
Haven.
except for that.
Yeah, and I really like the idea of what he's thought about here, where it's not based upon likes and pretty posts and everybody liking and following you that way. It's just based upon interests. So it's a different social media type of experience powered by AI, and I fully agree with you. Yeah, I'll make one comment to kind of piggyback on what you said there, Umer. Yeah, imagine you're talking about using Perplexity as one example. And what Perplexity does is it looks at things, it pulls from Google, a lot of Google's content and search and so forth, but it filters it and cleans up the information based upon evidence and data. So, imagine if more and more people use those types of search engines, then the likelihood of people having different viewpoints of the world that are vastly extreme on either side versus more based upon, I won't say truth, because who's truth, right? There are some questions about what quote unquote truth is. We won't want to get in that long philosophical discussion, but there is some practical truth, right? Some practical things that traditionally happen over and over again. And there's evidence that these things typically happen, right? And then, yes, there could be these very extreme things, but they happen very rarely, or so forth. So I like that idea of, thinking about social media that's driven by AI in a way that doesn't create the type of angst and the anxiety and the stress that's associated with traditional social media based upon likes. And then the idea of using something like Perplexity to get information. And now more people get a similar viewpoint of the world, which increases the likelihood that we can unify with AI. So any parting comments before we let you go? This has been a fascinating, great conversation with you. It's been awesome working with you, obviously, over the years, but I always learn something new from you that you come up with over the week, that you discovered, and we share those ideas, and we just continue to learn and grow. So we're hoping, whether you're 9 or 93 or somewhere in between, get out there, play around with the tools, use the tools. You'll be amazing what you'll discover. And parting words, back to you.
Yep. So first of all, thank you very much for just, backing me up where my internet was having issues. It's like, the very first thing that I mentioned, the hardest thing in Pakistan is to have, a fast internet. And you've already witnessed that. I had to, go disconnect a couple of times since I'm in my native village. I do have a better internet back in our city. So the parting comments would be, for obviously for folks to start using AI, because you have to eventually get familiar with it. Like I mentioned the calculator example earlier. We have to use that to save ourselves time. Don't think of the AI as your competitor. Think of it as as your partner, or as, your personal assistant that can help you, or as as another version of you that you have to admit is smarter than you, by the way. So just start using that and leverage that, and your life will be easier. Just, start using it for every day, whether you're writing email, whether you're, use it for your work to improve your productivity, to improve your collaboration, to automate the repetitive tasks. you know just start using that in your day-to-day life, and it will improve your productivity, and also it will, with the passage of time, it will help you in earning money directly or indirectly too.
Very good. Thank you very much. Again, this is the 2024 Stroud Leadership Summit, coming from you virtually, and in certain areas, we're also coming to you directly from Colorado Springs, where the Stroud family property is located at the Sable Mesa Resort. We look forward to any of you who can join us for Independence Day that will be coming up. And we'll be having an event for the entire Colorado Springs community, and people we've had in the past fly in from different parts of the country and even from different parts of the world for that event. It's a great event, and hosted by my cousins. That's going to be held July 6th. We'll make sure we get information up. And again, Umer Qureshi, thank you for your time today, and thank you all. Bye.
All right, thank you very much. Bye bye.